Good. I would like to call the October Canfield Local School Board meeting to order. Patty, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Wilkerson, President.
Here.
Mrs. DeCaprio, Vice President.
Here.
Mr. Atway.
Here.
Mr. Campbell.
Here.
Mrs. Klucher.
Yes, here.
Okay, with that, we're going to say the pledge. The flag is over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first order of business is we will have the presentation of, I skipped up principles. Let's not do that. Who wants to go first?
We had some really good information, we had some really good news come out. Last week I got an email from an organization called GreatSchools.org, which is an organization that ranks high schools in the country as far as preparing students for success in college. And I just got the confirmation today that Canfield High School, once again, I'm not sure how, I know we've won it before, I have to investigate how many years we have won it. But once again, we are one of those schools in the country to receive that award. It's a very prestigious award. It won't be announced officially until tomorrow because the company asked us to wait till tomorrow, but the board meeting is tonight. I thought you guys would like to know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I just unofficially announced that. But again, and this, understand that the high school gets this award, but it really goes down into the elementaries and the middle school because it's a district award. It's not just a high school award because so many kids come through our system and they're prepared to come into the high school and be successful. So once I get that data, I will certainly share that data with everybody, but congratulations. It's called greatschools.org. If you want to go on the website tomorrow, it's supposed to be up on the website. We had virtual conferences there a couple weeks ago, and things went extraordinarily well. We were shocked at how well the parents really liked the idea that they could be home and they could virtually conference with their teachers with Google Meet. Really thought we were going to have some issues with technology, X, Y, and Z, and we had a couple of glitches, but for the most part, parents they really liked it, so we were very happy about that. We have a young lady, Adriana Ambrosia, who is one of our inclusion teachers, and she is heading up our Veterans Day virtual assembly. Obviously, we can't have an assembly. I think you all know that Veterans Day in the high school and throughout the district is a very big deal. And we have speakers come in, the band plays, the choir sings. It's just fantastic, and we hope to do the best we can as far as a virtual Veterans Day assembly. We had an Nhs ceremony. I want to thank board members who showed up and Mr. Knoll, and that was a really great event. I think the parents were very happy that they got to see that their children were recognized. We were able to do that because we could go into the gymnasium and follow the governor's guidance on how many people you could have at an event. And if you were there, I thought it worked very well. Mr. Courtney, one of our teachers, had a really cool speech. He was involved in an accident where he came very close to losing his life some years ago, and I think it touched kids' hearts. I met recently with our PTA, who just continues to do an outstanding job. The PTA, you'll notice that when you come in, hopefully very soon, you'll see PTA artwork that they have purchased and given to the high school from our kids. I've worked with Mr. Hoops, who is going to design the whole thing. Thought it was better that he did that than I did that. Yeah, but you should see that up, and when that gets up, we'll certainly show you that. We also talked to the PTA. The front of the building is getting a little makeover with the windows. We had planned to do this a couple of years, last year I think it was, and it took a while to get done, but that project is moving forward. It's going to be very exciting to what the front of the school looks like. And I want to thank the PTA again for all their things that they provided for parent-teacher conference night to the staff. So that's the high school report. Thank you. Part of the high school report. Here's the second part.
Two more things, just real quick. First things first, I want to give you a little update on our fall athletics, everything that's going on. We mention it every time. It's amazing how resilient our kids are. You know, we look at the list that I'm about to give you, it's just going to blow you away of how many teams are either won a championship or they're right there. So it's unbelievable. So fall 2020 AAC champions. We had girls tennis, boys cross country, girls soccer, football, boys golf, and girls golf. All AAC champions. As well as girls golf, they were also tournament champions as well. So, you know, it's just spectacular. Our volleyball team went 17-4. They're ranked 12th in our state poll. Our football team is 7-0. They're ranked number 3 in the state poll. We have a girls tennis player, Anna Khan. She went 17-6 this year. She's qualified right now for state. This is her 3rd year in a row. And it's my understanding that this is the first time in Canfield school history that one girls tennis player qualified in singles 3 years in a row. We've had, you know, they've been on a doubles team and qualified in singles, but this is my understanding the first time she has qualified 3 times individually for the state tournament, which is phenomenal. Girls soccer, this year they're 11-2-2, ranked number 9 in the state poll. They've over the past 105 games, they're 100-0-5 versus local teams since September 9th of 2012. 100-0-5. Boys soccer, they're 9-4, 9-4-3. They're seated 5th in the boys soccer tournament. Boys cross country, they will qualify at least 3 young men for the state tournament this year. They also won the Mahoning County Champions tournament. Girls cross country, we will qualify at least 1 young lady for the state meet this year. And Canfield's current fall record right now is 84-18-5. So through it all, our kids are still doing it in the classroom and they're doing it everywhere else. It's spectacular, the resilience that they have. So just great information I wanted to share with you. The other thing I want to share real quick, if you take a look at the pictures that were put on your tables, we have a few staff members that are really taking to heart giving our students something to smile about in this strange time. Every day we have some of our staff members are dressing in whatever theme at our science entrance. I've got kids that have come to me and said, listen, I want my parking spot moved. I'm like, why? What's wrong? I want to be at the science entrance because something is going on down there. The first one on the left at the top, if you look on the left, that is Mr. Jennings. He's an English teacher. He did not know that this was happening, but that day was Mr. Jennings' day. So he just came down just like he normally is, and that is, he fit right into the mold. So, you know, there's several things. They're getting so creative. I've sent Mr. Knoll several pictures. We're laughing about it, having a good time with it. So, you know, kudos to Mike Strohecker, Pete Graff, Rick Amato, and Kristen Gennaro. They are giving our kids something to smile about first thing when they come in every morning. It's really exciting to see. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Good evening, Judd Rubin. I'm the principal of Canfield Middle School. The first thing I want to talk about is our little project that we started last year. It was a food pantry that we had some ideas about, and thanks to a wonderful grant by our Canfield Rotary of $10,000, we were able to beautify that room and make it really special. So within 2 weeks, we've had it painted. We blocked in some electrical panels, new lights, drop ceiling. And it's going to look great. And PTA is part of it, and my guidance counselor, Mrs. A. So we're coming together. Hopefully, the next couple of weeks, we should be able to be up and running there. Next up is we just started our student council. I just want to thank Mr. Knoll and Mr. Tullio for allowing us not only to come back to school, but to try to keep it as normal as possible. And So having those student council and some of the things that we've been able to do throughout the year has been really special for our students. So we had our first meeting a couple weeks ago. They laid out plans for what our goals are for the year, our Spirit Week next week. We have our food drive, which is a big thing for our middle school that's really special, and get a lot of participation. And of course, we'll be able to do our Halloween following all the recommendations. So it's really nice for our kids to be student-centered and doing some great civic activities in the middle school. We're starting something new this year. It's, anytime we could recognize some of our students, we're calling it Spotlight Cardinals. And if you look left to Mrs. Reynolds' room, there's a spotlight that was installed a couple days ago right on the ceiling there, and it's facing a wall. Our art teacher is going to decorate that as a spotlight cardinal, and it's going to look like a picture frame. And then we'll be taking 2 students for every grade level. That'll be recognized each month, and we'll have lunch in my office. And then their picture's going to go on there with the spotlight right on there for the month. And so, and the best part about that is our student council students got together with the advisor, and they came up with criteria for grades 5 through 8, what it would be. It's not just the student that got all A's or an A on this. It's just a wide array of just being an all-around a good person. And so we're really excited about that. And November 19th is going to be the first announcement for that. Just thank our coaches and Coach Tank and everybody for just an outstanding fall season. Following distances, again, you know, the normalcy and being able to see those kids play volleyball and football and cross country was just great therapy for everybody, so we appreciate that. And we did our, with the help of Officer Lamping, our resource officer, we had our lockdown drill yesterday that went real well, and each teacher reviewed our ALICE training and some of those safety measures as well. So thank you to everybody for such a great start of the year.
If we can do anything to help with that spotlight project, school board,
Okay.
you know, recognition or something
That'd be
for
great, yeah.
the kids.
Okay, sounds good. Thank
I'd
you.
love to do that.
Good evening, I'm Joe Maroney, I'm the assistant principal at the middle school, but also in charge of the Cardinal Digital Academy. We've really tried to keep our Cardinal Digital Academy students in touch with the normal school year. And one of the things that my wife reminded me that school pictures is important because my wife has in her basement K-12 pictures of all of our kids. So we didn't want to have a gap year where we had kids who were in the Cardinal Digital Academy without that, you know, elementary school or middle school picture. So on any OEA day, we had Sen Studios come in to the middle school gym, and we brought in all of our Cardinal Digital Academy students who wanted their picture taken, and we had their pictures taken. Those will be available for touchless pickup at Sen Studio during the week of November 2nd. So trying to keep our kids in touch with everyone else in person. We're also going to try to do some things with Halloween next week to make sure our kids have a normal experience if we can for Halloween, whatever normal is this year. Just finished up 3rd grade air testing today. We want to thank Campfield Library for allowing us to use one of their conference rooms. We did double sessions of testing. We broke our kids into 2 groups, a morning session and afternoon session to get a lot of our air testing done, and that went really, really well. My big fear was the Wi-Fi going to be able to handle 20 kids hitting at the same time. We had absolutely no problems either day with the Wi-Fi or anything at all. Everybody except for 3 kids show up for testing. We'll do makeups with them, but very smooth. I want to thank Mr. Tullio for arranging that for us to use the Campfield Library. Tomorrow night from 6 to 7, I have a virtual meeting with Cardinal Digital Academy parents, going over just some things, some topics as far as testing, registration for the 2nd semester. Then we'll open up to questions if any parents want to ask questions. It's similar to what I had done in the past at Hilltop with a parent and principal night, where parents can come in and ask any questions or concerns that they have. We'll address them as long as it's not dealing with any specific student. But that'll be tomorrow night from 6 to 7. That'll be a Google Meet virtual meeting. Also testing wise coming up, 4th grade, we're going to do our COGAT and Iowa testing in November. Found out that we can do that virtually, so we will not have to bring kids in for that, but we'll be doing our IQ testing and our gifted testing virtually during the month of November. Registration for the 2nd semester of the Cardinal Digital Academy, we're going to open that up with a survey on November 9th, and that'll stay open until December 4th. So we'll try to get some numbers on who's coming back in person, who's staying in the Digital Academy, and if there are any new enrollments into the Digital Academy. And I will continue to update Mr. Knoll and the board as what those numbers look like moving forward into the 2nd semester. Lastly, in your packet is an exit survey. We did have about 40 students leave, representing 30 families leave the Digital Academy. We put out an exit survey to ask folks why they left and to give us any feedback. Out of the 40 surveys that we sent back, we had 6 people felt the surveys representing 7 students, and those results are on the last page of the packet I handed out to you, and we will use that information to try to make any improvements to the Digital Academy as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question about that? Thank you. Okay, for the 40 students that left or the 30 families, is that a combination of just exiting to homeschooling or back into the classroom, or is that just completely leaving?
That was the majority coming back to in-person
Okay.
learning in Canfield schools.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Travis Labry. I'm the principal at C.H. Campbell Elementary School here in Canfield. We have quite a few things going on. We have our Halloween festivities that are going to look a little different than in previous years, but we are still planning on having some fun activities for the kids. We're going to have a dress-up day where they're going to be coming in. We're going to have a parade that's going to be open just to the students and staff for those kids as well, so they can show off those costumes to everybody. We'll be doing those things outside to try and, again, be able to socially distance. We also are going to have our annual pumpkin decorating contest. So students are going to need to be able to bring those in this year. A lot of times we've had parents bring them in because they've been rather complex, but students are going to need to get those into the building themselves this year. So they'll be a little bit held back maybe this year. But in addition to that, we had our PTA with our annual fall fundraiser. They raised over $5,000 for the schools. Very impressive, especially with a different setting with only doing virtual fundraising this year. So very, very impressive and very happy to see that. And we also are in the middle of planning our Veterans Day Assembly. We are going to have information getting sent out to the community soon asking for anybody that has a veteran, students that have veterans that they would like to have honored on that day. And we will be putting together a presentation for them to honor them as well. And then following up with our candy drive coming up in early November as well. That donations from that are spread out to various local charity organizations. In addition to that, we had a virtual informational meeting for our 3rd grade reading guarantee. This is a law that was passed back in 2012 by Governor Kasich, and it basically says that students that do not pass the 3rd grade air assessment have to be held back. That is not going to be the case this year. They've given a lot of discretion to principals and teachers to make those decisions themselves. So a little bit different this year than what it's been in the past. And our air testing, our statewide testing went very well over the past 2 days as well, without any glitches and very, very few makeups coming. We have conferences coming up very soon. We are going to be scheduling those virtually and holding those using Google Meet. Parents will be getting that information. They can schedule now. They'll be getting information about their specific conference with the links and everything else in the near future. But the other thing that I'd like to highlight is we had a very generous donation by a family of Canfield to start up a food pantry in our building as well. And they donated the money directly to the Second Harvest Food Bank so that we can head there and pick up supplies and bring them back into the building. We are looking to have that pantry up and running starting November 1 so that we can be just in time for the Thanksgiving season and start helping out our families and communities starting in November. So very excited about that as well. Thank you.
Good evening. I just want to start, most of the stuff that Travis just talked about, you know, we're doing the same thing over at Hilltop. I gotta give compliments to Travis. You know, getting back into the elementary level, I do go and meet with him regularly or just call him on the phone and get some ideas what worked in the past and what we should change up. So appreciate all that, Travis. Busy 2 months, STARS, testing, crawl, 3rd grade air assessment. We just completed today. We had, our attendance was about 99% the last 2 days, so very excited about that. Halloween's gonna be pretty similar to CH, no parents. but we will still have a parade, and PTA is actually going to go ahead and do like a activity that they're gonna give to the teachers so they can still have some fun in the classroom while social distancing. We did a fall fundraiser by the PTA, and they raised over $8,000. It was truly amazing to see that. And again, it's all about the kids, and that's why they did it, and we do appreciate that. And lastly, I just want to say thank you, everyone here, for giving us a permanent sub. You know, that has worked out big time. We had a teacher go out on her personal leave last week, and our permanent sub jumped right in, and she's doing the virtual learning, remote learning, and the kids haven't missed a beat. I walked past there today, she's up dancing in front of the kids, and that just tells you what you have done. You could make these kids continue learning while the teacher's out, so I do appreciate that. Everyone have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen. We appreciate it. They're okay to leave, right? Yep. You guys are welcome to leave if you want, or you can stay and listen.
Thank you, man.
Okay, so on to presentation minutes. We receive the minutes ahead of time, we review them. We typically don't read them out loud, but we do review them ahead of time. We have minutes for the September 16th, 2020 regular meeting and the September 30th, 2020 special meeting that we had to approve. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved, Atway.
Second, Mrs. DeCapua?
Any discussion of those minutes? Roll call, please.
Mr. Atway?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCapua?
Yes.
Mrs. Klucher?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes. Now we're going to move on to the most exciting part of the meeting, which is the treasurer's report. Ms. Prince.
It is very exciting.
I know.
The cash summary report, I'd like to comment on a couple things. On the first page, the food service fund, I think I indicated when we adopted appropriations that I had some concerns. You'll see the fund balance is at $35,000 at the end of September, which is very low for that fund. I am hoping that with the new breakfast, the breakfasts that are being served, and then all the students, you know, with the free lunches, that we'll be getting in some more money to help raise that balance, but it's kind of touch and go right now. I also wanted to comment on the last page, some of the extra funds that we have this year because of COVID. Started to post items to them, the 507-9021 ESSER fund, the broadband funds on there. Next month you'll see the CRF fund will be also, we'll start posting. And a couple of those, we do have to spend all the money by December 30th, or we have to send it back, so. It's the only comments I had on the cash summary report.
Does it have to be spent or encumbered?
Spent.
Okay. Let me get on that.
It's supposed to be encumbered by the end of November and liquidated by the end of December.
November 20th, it needs to be.
So it's a real tight timeline.
Yeah. Not giving us plenty of time. How about, so that meal, that meal fund, so if they started reimbursing us, or how does that
We
all
haven't
work?
received, so she applied for the September money, but it doesn't come in until October, so it's like a month behind. But we had to, you know, prep and pay for the food and materials for those lunches in September, so I'm hoping by the end of October that we'll have caught up a little bit.
I'd be interested too, as we move forward, to know how much of that's being covered, because that's kind of a good indicator of, you know, how many kids are using the full meal plan as opposed to, you know, just kind of picking. And I've noticed there's a lot of parent discussions about that. I'm sort of interested in how that plays out.
I do not have an appropriation summary report. There's a software issue that I'm working on with our Access, our computer site, And as soon as I get that resolved, or we get that resolved, I'll send that report out to you. The check payment register, the first two items, it was a 2 payroll month, and then that third payroll was the coaches' pay for the first half of fall. And about halfway down the first page, it's check 112026 Liberty Mutual for $104,000. That is our insurance premium for property, liability, and fleet for the entire year. It was a large check I thought you'd want some information on. I don't have any other comments unless you have a question on any of the checks. The purchase order register, the new items start like on page 23. And I wanted to point out, if you go to page 23, or any other page, I guess, when you look at that full account code, the fourth number in, if it's 0019, those are all the COVID supplies that the teachers are purchasing with their $500 allowance. So you can follow some of those through. Most of them are Amazon purchases, and it's items for remote learning.
What was the number again?
0019.
It's the fourth item in. So like if you go to page 23 and look at that school specialty, purchase order 111614. It's 1100 510 then 0019. So that tells you it's a COVID supply item. Any questions on the purchase order register? And then investments, the money market rate, 0.2 and 0.4.
Whew.
So, and the sad thing is, most of those CDs that are listed there at 3%, 3.05, those are all maturing in October and November, with the exception of 2 of them.
Yeah.
So, most of our money will be in that money market rate. That will significantly affect our interest income for the year. So if there's no questions, other questions, we do need a motion to approve the reports, please.
So moved, Kluchar.
Got a second?
Go ahead, Campbell.
Campbell seconds.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Atway?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCapua?
Yes.
Mrs. Klucher?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes. Do we have, somebody
No.
picked up the public participation? No public participation? Okay, on to new business, Mr. Knoll.
Okay, thank you. So we'll look at our approving our license leave of absence for Morgan and Courtney for those time periods listed. Also recommend the hiring of our extracurricular folks as enclosed in exhibit number 2. A classified resignation, Mary Ann Kay as a cafeteria worker. And I'd like to recommend approve of classified substitutes pending their background checks, those 2 individuals. Letter E, also hiring a paraprofessional to be reimbursed by the boosters, Kay Williams for our music. And that will be our final recommendation.
Okay, based on the recommendation of the superintendent, can I have a motion to approve the leave of absence, the license leave of absence for Morgan and Courtney, the extracurricular list, the resignation of Mary Ann Kay, and the classified substitutes and paraprofessional list.
So moved. DeCapua?
Atway will second.
Any discussion of any of that?
I just want to make a comment, just because I know Mary Ann Kay, it's 32 years of service in her retirement, so I wanted to thank her for her service and congratulate her on her retirement.
Any other discussion? Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Atway?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCapua?
Yes.
Mrs. Klucher?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
Then our policy committee had their first meeting with Mr. Tullio, so I'll turn it over to him to chat a little bit about our policies for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan. We had a meeting with our two board representatives. We, prior to that, Mr. Nolan and I met with our representative from Neola, the company that we use to review policies and put policies together. And Barb Roby is our representative from the company, met with us. And then we met as a committee, the board committee, reviewed the policies, and I'll ask the two members if they have any questions or comments about the policies that are before you this evening.
No, we went through them, each one. Basically, the majority of them were revisions due to what we had to adopt via the state. So a lot of it was just, it was done for us, so to speak. But I don't, Mrs. Kluchar?
Yeah, just some interesting things learning from this, because when the state changes laws, then we have to change our policies, so they're still in alignment. So if you look on our website, you see the policies at the bottom, it'll say which Ohio Revised Code they reference. Learned a few things about, you know, updates to like concussion protocols and voluntary grade adjustments, evaluations for teachers, administrators, just all kinds of new things. There was an interesting one on religious patriotic ceremonies and observances, where students can't be penalized if they include their religious faith in their assignments, as long as the content of the assignment is still what the teacher's asking for in the grading criteria. Some interesting things that we learned about, and we were told that all the financial and investment ones were blessed by our treasurer, and since her knowledge of finances is so far and above away of mine, that we just take Patty's recommendation on anything.
Were any of the policy changes not due to law changes?
Well, we have, these are all first reads, by the way.
No, these were all from changes of laws, I believe. There was nothing that we particularly brought up that said, hey, we need to look at this and change this.
Okay.
This was all due to Neola recommendations.
So under number 3 though, we are gonna ask that you adopt these two policies tonight, under number 3 there.
Correct.
And then number 4 will be the first read, okay? And there's some urgency. First one's the evaluation piece that we need to get done. And the other one is the, basically Title IX type work, which is critical. So I'll ask for a recommendation to adopt policies tonight of 3220, the standards-based teacher evaluation, and 2266, non-discrimination on the basis of sex in district programs or activities, which is Exhibit 5.
Based on the recommendation of the superintendent, can I have a motion to forego our first reading and adopt the policy? Are these new? These are both new policies, right? Completely new or revision?
2266, Mr. Tiller, is a brand new one, right? And I think the first one is a revision.
3220 is a revision.
Yeah, like OTEP.
Yeah. So can I, to restate that, so can I have a motion to waive the first reading and adopt the 3220 revision and the 2266 new policies listed in Exhibit number 5?
So moved. DeCapua?
Second, Kluchar.
Any discussion of those? And by the way, just to add, I mean, we typically meet at least twice a year, and sometimes more than that, on these policy revisions, but COVID has gotten in the way, so that's why we've got so many revisions to so many policies due to law changes. Although I'm surprised that they've been able to make that many law changes.
No.
But clearly they've been doing some work down there, so, yeah. Any other discussion of those policies that we're going to adopt today? Roll call, please.
Mr. Atway?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCapua?
Yes.
Mrs. Klucher?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
And I'd like to make a recommendation to approve the first reading of those policies listed under Exhibit 6.
Do we need to vote on that, Patty?
We
We don't
have in the
usually.
past.
We, on first reads.
On the first reads? We
did.
don't usually vote on the first read, do we?
I think we have done it both ways.
Do we? Okay, that's fine. Can I have a motion to have the first reading? Is that the right way to phrase that even?
Yeah, to
I don't
approve the
remember.
first reading.
I don't remember
Okay.
voting on these, but that's fine.
There you go. Divine intervention.
So can I have a motion to approve the first reading of these policies?
Campbell makes the motion to approve the first reading of the policies.
That way, we'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Atwood?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCapua?
Yes,
Mrs. Klucher?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Oops,
Yes.
sorry. I was gonna say yes, I
I
think.
said yes.
Very good.
I'd like to recommend a motion to adopt the amended resolution number 7-2021, declaring transportation practical for students as listed under Exhibit 7.
Based on the recommendation of the superintendent, can I have a motion to approve the amended resolution number 7-2021, declaring transportation practical?
So moved. Atway.
Campbell seconds.
Any discussion of any of that?
I just have one question. I noticed one was highlighted. I didn't, is there a reason why one would be highlighted?
That's just the amended one. We've approved all the others.
Oh, that's right, we did do that at another, I'm sorry, thank you for reminding me.
Any other discussion of that? Roll call, please.
Mr. Atwood?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCapua?
Yes,
Mrs. Klucher?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
And I'd like to recommend a motion to accept the donations as presented in Exhibit number 8.
Based on the recommendation of the superintendent, can I have a motion to approve the donations listed in exhibit number 8?
so moved, DeCapua?
Second, Kluchar?
Any discussion? Just to summarize, this is $2,779 worth of new cash donations, and that brings the total this year to $93,1969 in generous donations from our community. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Atwood?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCapua?
Yes,
Mrs. Klucher?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes. Superintendent's report.
All right, got a couple things to share with you tonight. The first one is our renewal levy. And I've been presenting some information and updates to the community, but just wanted to mention that publicly tonight. The levy is on the ballot, obviously, so a lot of people voted early already. We appreciate your support. Just a couple things, with renewals, not an increase in taxes. Always want to make sure that we say that to our public. These dollars basically just allow us to do our day-to-day operations. Utilities, bus fuel, classroom materials, safety supplies. This year's been a big one with COVID, for example, so a lot of those dollars are being used towards that. It is a renewal of an existing levy. It's already been in place. That's about ready to expire. The only difference is this levy renewal is for a 10-year period. So that is the only difference that our community will see, if you haven't yet voted. Secondly, this week is National School Bus Safety Week, and I put that information out to our community, made an all call the other night. We had a great day yesterday. We had Canfield PD, the Sheriff's Office, and the State Highway Patrol shadowing our buses. Just traveling around the district, just making an awareness about bus safety. When the reds are flashing, you need to stop. All right, that's the main thing for our safety for our kids. 25 mile per hour, make sure you stay within the limit, 20, 25, et cetera, around the district. We had 10 or 11 law enforcement people come. It was a great morning. It was a wet morning, but appreciate the collaboration to do that. I drove around a bus myself, unmarked police car, my car. Had a good time. You know, we take for granted the work that our bus drivers do, and we should. Actually, buses are one of the safest vehicles on the road because of the training and the time and effort that they put into it. So I want to thank the bus drivers, but also thank our local law enforcement for jumping in and giving us a hand with that. From what my transportation folks said, that's the first time we've ever done it. And we'll continue to do it. And next year, hopefully, we'll do ride-alongs, which means we'll actually ride in the bus, which I've enjoyed doing that in the past. So, you know, kids get to see it in different ways, so does the community as well. So, but it was a great day.
Awesome.
The final thing I wanted to talk to our community about, I know the COVID topic is high and getting a little stressful. We are red in Mahoney County, as everybody knows. The governor kind of makes that updates on Thursdays. The best thing you can do to be up to date on where we are at is go to our website. I've told our community that we will post the positive cases and the letter that I put out on our website, and it's there. We've had 2 positive cases in Canfield. 1 in person and actually 1 online. We're not required to put that out there, but I thought it was good just to have that information available to our community. So that information is out there. We update it once a week. We've been really trying to update it. If there's an issue, we try to get that information out quick and let our folks know what's going on. So like I said, I know there's a lot of trepidation, but to inform our community, that information is on the website. And I call it a dashboard, for lack of a better term, but I think that's a good way of saying it, just to keep everybody updated on what's going on there. So at the end of the day, I'm proud of our folks wearing masks. I'm proud of our community rallying up. I'm glad we're in this long. I hope we can continue going at it. But our kids and staff and parents are the reason why we're making it through. So I want to give everybody kudos there for that. So, and that's all I have. Great.
Nice.
Thank you. And definitely, you know, I got a couple calls about the COVID case and a lot of confusion amongst parents. So definitely, you know, go to that website. Definitely, you know, if you guys are contacted, make sure you tell them, go to that website, because part of the problem is the state is not reporting things as quickly. The different news outlets, some of them are reporting the state data, which doesn't necessarily have the CDA cases. So there's like some different information out there, which kind of confuses people. That website, for sure, is the most accurate, best place for our parents and community to go, and that's where we should be directing them. So, with that, does anybody else have anything else for the regular meeting to bring up? If not, I think that we want to adjourn to an executive session to discuss the employment of a public employee. Can I have a motion to that effect, please?
So moved, DeCapua?
Second, Klucher.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Atwood?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCapua?
Yes.
Mrs. Klucher?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes. And with that, I don't know, we're gonna go to the library. You're all welcome to stay. We'll come back on YouTube, but you shouldn't expect any other actions. So we probably won't have any other actions here.
Okay, thanks.
Guess what I'm gonna do?
Make your motion.
Yeah.
Attaboy.
Okay, can I have we've returned from executive session. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved. That way.
Any
Campbell
second?
seconds.
I'm afraid.
Any discussion of that? Roll call, please.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Tricky, watch the treasurer.
She's gotta
Yeah.
do, she's just
You
doing
gotta
that.
get that in on you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doing that to me.
I know she does that.